Hey, how's it going, fellow Trojans and loyal vassals? So I'm here today, here to show you this figure from the Sentinel line of toys. And Sentinel, essentially, if you don't know, makes like articulated robotic figures. That's mainly what they do, and they do a really good job of implementing the articulation in such unique ways. Because not each robot is the same, so they all have to have unique articulation to each of those figures, and I think it's pretty cool. They have on some occasion made humanoid figures under their Rio Bone line, but not so much. And as of recent, they decided to release a couple of figures based around the Tatsunoko line of heroes, an old TV show or production company, or animation studio from way back. The only really character that I know is Speed Racer, but here this particular figure really intrigued me in terms of design, and I'd argue that he is by far my favorite figure of the year in terms in appearance. Look at this guy; he looks so cool. The shoulder pads, I like the colors. I'd argue also that that Ultron would be my favorite, but technically he was released in December of last year, so he doesn't really count. So this guy, for the most part, as of now, out of all the figures that I've currently been accumulating in 2016, this is so far my favorite, just on appearance alone. The articulation is nothing too fancy, and I had a lot of trouble posing this guy. For some odd reason, I was having such a frustrating time posing him for whatever reason. I don't know well, I kind of have an idea why, but I had a hard time. Normally I don't like to show the boxes, but on the back of his box actually shows a very brief description of what this figure is, and it surprised me because it's all in English, as you can see. However, there are some questionable yeah, there you go, grammar or issues, well, you'll see when you get to parts. But it says, what is Tatsunoko Heroes fighting gear? This is an action toy series that redesigns the iconic suit from Tatsunoko SF Heroes. Isn't there supposed to be E after Heroes? I don't know. Who made their names? Yeah, see, it's right there, Heroes. That's a bad grammar. So whoever wrote the description here, English wasn't their first language, so that's alright. I'm just, pointing that out. Tatsunoko SF Heroes, who made their names in the 70s and 80s. The fifth release, meaning this is the fifth release figure. They released 4 other figures in the line. I don't really know their names. I just know the first release was Cashern Sins. Cashern, he's like in a white suit. There was 2 characters, Joe Condor and some other character, and then 2 other ones. No, wait. Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Fifth release will feature none other than Tekkaman The Space Knight. Well, that threw me off. Will come articulated and can be put in the trademark poses seen in the series. Belt and roller skate tires. I don't think they're supposed to be necessary. Roller skate tires will include gimmicks. So I'm not exactly sure what they mean by this. Because he doesn't come with roller skates or roller skate. Yeah, he doesn't come with roller skates. Unless they're talking about these little spinny things. And I'm not exactly sure what gimmick they mean, if it means it's supposed to spin, because it doesn't do that. Or unless they're talking about the other gimmick where he has die-cast parts. Other than that, also his belt may be no, it's plastic. So I'm not exactly sure what they mean by those gimmicks. But moving on. Parts of the 18-centimeter body will consist of diecast, there you go, which will give this toy there's an extra space there that's not supposed to be there. I wouldn't say massive. I would take out this word entirely and just say we'll give this toy a heavy feeling. That's all I would put for me personally. Also an unnecessary space there. Also, an LED light up unit will be included on the chest, which will allow for the area to light up. Original sculpt by Komatsubara Hiroyuki. Designed by Polygo Graphics. So speaking of the sculpt, I will say this. I did originally, like, I like to look up what the characters look like originally in their appearance, and this guy, I think it's kind of lazy what they did with this figure, because all the previous release in this line of figures, there's four, like it was said, four in total. This is the fifth release, and each one of them basically uses the same base body in terms of appearance and articulation. And this character in particular, when I looked up what he originally looked like in the series, he's actually much more musculature. Like, he has pretty much more, he's more beefed up. And this is like pales in comparison, because he's just very lanky and skinny. So I think that's kind of lazy on their part that it didn't bother to make, at least this guy in particular, a new base body and just make him musculature. That's really, in terms of appearance, that's the only thing that kind of bugs me. He still looks really cool. I just kind of wish they stuck to the original material. The other characters, I can't say for sure if they looked exactly, because I didn't bother with them, but they look, I would assume they look the same. Yeah, and pretty much the articulation is the same on each and every one of them, with only some minor differences to accommodate the character. This one being the shoulder pads, or whatever you call these. I'm just going to call them shoulder pads. But just take a good look at this guy. Looking clean. Nice and clean. And there's that little gimmick. Oh yeah, right, the gimmicks. So he has two gimmicks going for him, where he has die-cast parts in certain parts of his area, and those parts being, I believe, I want to say the entire calf, this leg and his foot, this part is die-cast, and these shoulder pads, I believe, are die-cast. And parts of his back, but I guess only the part that actually covers the battery, this is die-cast. I'm not exactly sure if the belt is die-cast, but yeah, he has that going for him, and he has this little switch because on the back of his he has a little light up thing on his chest, and if you were, see if I can turn it on, you can't really see it. Hold on, maybe if I and there you go. He kind of has like a, well, we're not focused. He's kind of like glowing, pretty much. And that looks really cool. So yeah. Anyways, moving on. So the articulation. Like I said, I was having a rather frustrating time posing this guy for whatever, well, not for whatever reason, but he doesn't do, and normally Sentinel line of figures have like I said, they do crazy and unique things in terms of articulation for each of their figures, and I'm talking really unique stuff that will make you scratch your head like, how did they do that? Unfortunately, this doesn't do, this character, or most of the line of figures in this line, doesn't do anything fancy. It's pretty much basic stuff you would see on like SH Figure Arts kind of stuff. Aside from the ball joint, this doesn't have that. It's kind of a hidden mechanic, but it's pretty much the same. If you've seen any SH Figure Arts figure, then you know what to expect with this guy, kind of. And at first I thought that he didn't have any form of ball joint at the shoulder, because it doesn't, when you see if I can move this up, see, it doesn't really look like he would have a ball joint underneath there, which I thought that's all he could really do was move it up and down. But it's not like he really needed it, because he can actually get his arm across him really good, and I like figures that do that. However, if I were to remove this part, which is a simple procedure, not that you'd want to, it's just I want to show you if I don't break it. There you go. He does in fact have a ball joint underneath that. It's just because of the plastic here, it kind of it doesn't allow you to move it. So he does actually have a ball joint, and it allows for greater range of motion, but unfortunately he doesn't really utilize it because of this piece right here, and it does leave a red marking there. So I can put this back, which, by the way, I guess I might as well show you if you already you just saw that. Oops, sorry about that. That his little shoulder pad is actually on a hinge piece right there. This piece is the articulation, and there's another one hidden. I don't know if I can show you, but it's like on a ball joint. You see that? There's a ball joint right there. So you can move like this, so it doesn't really get in the way of the shoulder. And like I said, he doesn't really need the ball joint in the shoulder, because he can actually get his arm across his chest pretty well. But for whatever reason, in the first few minutes, or the first couple of hours when I was posing this figure, it kind of got kind of confused me when I was trying to pose him, because I'm so used to just having a ball joint free of no hindrance, so that was kind of off. He has I believe, a single ball joint at the top of the head, and another one at the lower part of the neck, and he can look quite a bit up, all the way down. So really good range of motion on the head. I like that. At the lower part, he has a single ball joint at the chest right here, and he has a double ball joint at right here, but it doesn't really make much use of it because this piece kind of like gets in the way, and this belt is supposed to like cover it. And I kind of wish this belt was plastic or soft PVC, because when you try and move his, like if you're gonna pose him and you want him doing like punches or whatnot, and you move his waist like that, the belt moves along with it, and it looks kind of off when you have like these gaps showing. So if this was made of soft PVC, you can just readjust it forward, and it can just move with the, with the body. But instead, it does move with the body, but like, see that? I'd rather have it facing forward rather than to the side. That's a minor gripe. This little piece is actually on a ball joint. His wrist is his elbow is double jointed. However, you can't, unfortunately, have it like closing all the way, which kind of sucks and is a little surprising considering this is a Sentinel figure. Like that's literally as far as you can bend his elbow. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just a little surprising that you can't really go all the way, like have his fist touching his shoulder. That is a little weird. And his wrist is on a regular ball jointed hinge. Nothing too fancy. His lower body is actually a little confusing, because technically they're ball joints, somewhat similar to SH Figuarts, but they're not. Because see if I can kind of show you. Because like, see, they have the same mechanic where you can pull the leg down for more range of motion like that. And if you look, there is a ball joint per se. I don't know if I can show you it. Right there. See, there is a ball joint underneath this plastic, right there. But it's like there's this weird, like you're seeing right here. There's this weird like gap that allows him to stretch his legs outwards. So I don't know. That just confuses me because I'm so used to having just a regular ball joint where you can just move it all around. But this one is like on this weird. The only way you can have him moving outwards like that is because of this little piece, or the way that's the gap there. I don't know, it's just confusing to me. I'm not used to it, but it just makes posing him hard for me. And you can't move his thighs side to side. His knee is on a double joint, and unfortunately, while he can get his leg quite a bit like that, there is like this weird gap right there, and you can't really move the knee, this actual knee piece, like upwards to like hide that part. So that is rather unfortunate. It doesn't bug me that much, but it's just something to point out. His ankle is on a single joint, and you can move it up and down. Side to side is a little bit tricky, and it does come off relatively easy. And this piece, by the way, is the die cast. We're not focused, but it does tend to come off. And the piece right here is actually difficult to move side to side. Like it's very, like I'm trying to see that. I'm really trying. There it goes. It's a little stiff, and I don't really like that. I'm sure at some point it'll loosen up, but see, it just comes off relatively easy. I don't like that. It's probably I don't think I've actually seen that where like die cast is interacting with regular plastic like that. I think that's a first I've ever seen. But there's that. All things considered, I think he's pretty cool. Nothing too fancy with the articulation. I would have preferred just, just typical kind of stuff. But let me see if I can get him standing. He doesn't fall. But yeah, hopefully, eventually, I'll just get used to the joints. My only really major complaint being that he doesn't represent identical to how he'd appeared in his old kind of beefed up appearance. For accessories, and he doesn't come with much. Aside from these two closed fists, he comes with these relaxed kind of palmed fists, or calmed hands, relaxed hands. some karate chopping hands. There's that. And a hand, and only one hand, for holding his weapons. And I kind of wish he came with a second left hand, so you can have him holding his weapon in his other hand. So I think that kind of sucks. To show you his weapons, he comes with this. Now this is actually supposed to just be one piece like this, put it together like that, and you're supposed to use this hand, you know, you put it like, see if I can show you, like that and like that. Whoa, that's a little, essentially like that, pretty much. And I kind of wish he came, like I said, if he had a secondary hand, you can actually have him dual wielding. That would have been pretty cool. Just because it would have been out of character, sure, but it would have been pretty cool. So there's that. And he came with this. Oh, I think I lost a piece. Oh no, I didn't. It's right there. He came with this weird looking. I'm not exactly sure what to call this. Are we focused? I'm not exactly sure what to call this. However, you can actually bend it. There's like a metallic, or what is it? I don't know. It's just a bendable metal kind of thing, and you can bend this in any shape, way, or form. I think that's really cool. So I guess he had like some sort of firing spear. I don't know what the heck this is. I think that's pretty cool. So he comes with that, and last but not least, he came with this little piece right here. I'm assuming this is to indicate some sort of power-up feature or something, and this actually goes on his forehead right there, which you can see that kind of looks like it's coming out, because you can actually see, can show you right now quickly. You can actually take off his head like that, relatively easy, and there's like this little thing where you just push it with your fingernail. This thing comes off, and you can replace it with this. And I can only assume this is some form of power-up feature where he gets stronger. And that's like a visual cue to that. So there's that. And finally, what is a Sentinel figure without a stand? And here is the stand that he comes with. I'm not actually sure what the pattern here is supposed to be, because a lot of the Sentinel stands pretty much are this. They look exactly like this, but this one actually has something special where it has this little decal at the bottom. Kind of looks like the opening to some sort of spaceship or something, and I can only assume that's what that's supposed to be, and that's pretty cool. You can actually take this piece off and rearrange it anywhere on the stand, but I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because it's gonna be the same on each side. I mean, so I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a stand. I'd say this is a pretty cool figure. Like I said, he is by far my favorite figure of the year so far. The only thing I don't really like is he doesn't represent his musculature appearance. Aside from that, he's a really cool figure. A bit on the expensive side. I don't think I mentioned this, but most of the Sentinel line of figures in general are pretty pricey. This one was like, I never get the prices right on these because I always forget. Something around the $80 ballpark, not including shipping. Do I think it's worth it? Maybe if you're a fan of the series and you really like him. If so, then don't get him. But I like him. So, Tekkaman, did I say that right? I'd say this review is over. Do you agree? Alright, I'll see you guys later.